God, may the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be pleasing and glorifying to you, for you are our strength and our salvation. Amen. I spent time this week in West Virginia. When I pulled off the exit from 64 East into White Sulphur Springs, the first thing I saw was a shed. The exit was actually a bridge that crossed over a creek, one of those little brooks that faithfully flows by the side of the main road through any of the dozens of quiet Appalachian towns we all know. And hanging off the side of this bridge, tipped upside down, was a shed that had been left there by the raging floodwaters just a few days earlier. I turned right off the exit, leaving the dangling shed behind me, only to encounter power lines, hanging where they always hang on the side of the road up high, only these were tied in massive knots, wrapped around chunks of what looked like railroad ties that had been snapped into 3-foot pieces. How does a railroad tie get snapped like a twig? And then how does it get tangled up in power lines? What had I gotten myself into? I wondered. All week I had been trying to write a sermon, sitting at my desk looking at these passages about carrying one another's burdens, about being sent out in pairs to share the love of God, about bringing nothing with you for the task. So of course, when I found out I'd been going to West Virginia, I immediately went to the store. Surely you need supplies for something like this, I thought. Water, snacks, sunscreen, muck boots. What else? I made lists. If I had nothing, I prepared. I wondered if the day pack I had was the right size. Maybe it was too big. Maybe I needed a smaller one. Was the bug spray I already had strong enough? I mean, are flood mosquitoes in some way bigger or stronger than regular mosquitoes? Should I get more DEET? You would never have known that I had just read Jesus' instructions to the disciples, telling them to take nothing with them. Who does that? Who goes into an unknown place unprepared? For years, I have criticized people like Bear Grylls, who make TV shows about surviving alone with nothing in the wilderness. Because y'all, that's just irresponsible. It's preventable. Why would you venture out in the wilderness with nothing? At the very least, take a granola bar and some matches. I figured the same was probably true of practicing pastoral care with flood victims. I knew I couldn't rebuild these people's homes or heal their emotional traumas, but at the very least, I could be prepared. So I packed meticulously. Snacks, water, sunscreen, a first aid kit, extra socks, some Sharpies, my multi-tool, and my IV. And some more water, because hydration is important. Once I got to First Presbyterian Church in White Sulphur Springs, I was paired up with another minister who would go with me into the community. She was a seasoned disaster response veteran, which means she got there 3 days before I did. And the first thing she said to me was, "Do you have a tetanus shot?" Because if you don't have a tetanus shot, I found out, the National Guard has set up a tent and is giving them out like candy. That should be your first stop. The tetanus shot tent is right beside the food tent, which is run by the Pentecostal Holiness Church. They have this giant trailer that is made just for this. They show up at disaster sites and they feed anyone who stops by, totaling around 1,200 meals per day. On the other side of the food tent is the volunteer tent, which is surrounded by pallets of water and bleach. Their entire job is to keep track of who needs what where. And when volunteers come in, we direct them to the tent. And the tent directs them to the homes where they can be of use. To get to this community hub, we passed by the Red Cross, and by FEMA, and by the Methodist Church, which has become a supply distribution center. I couldn't help but notice that this was just a sleepy little town on a beautiful summer day, tucked away in the serene beauty of the Blue Ridge Mountains. There was a breeze, and a peaceful, gurgling sound of the stream, but no one was sitting on their porches, and there were giant military vehicles rolling through the town. The juxtaposition of these sights and sounds that I never thought I would take in was a bit overwhelming. But my ministry partner just kept on like it was totally normal, pointing out the things that she thought I might need to know. So I trusted her, and I followed where she led, which was, of course, to the people who called this place home. Y'all, I spent the whole day talking to people who had lost everything. People who were shoveling mud out of their dining rooms. People who had long since stopped shoveling because there was no use. People waiting for FEMA, and waiting and waiting and waiting some more. People who had just learned that homeowners insurance is not the same thing as flood insurance. And the only time that whole day that I reached into my very well-packed bag was when someone needed a pen to write down the contact information for the mold remediation unit that was making the rounds. I'm happy to report today that as far as I can tell, flood mosquitoes are no different than any other mosquitoes. But it was so much more than that. There were work crews everywhere you looked, loading salvaged furniture into trucks to take to the storage unit, hauling soaked carpet and soggy drywall out of houses, pressure washing mud-encased tables and chairs, hauling load after load after load of ruined possessions to the dump site. There were food tents on every corner, all for free. There were men on four-wheelers with trailers attached, full of coolers holding ice and water, just making rounds through the neighborhoods to make sure people had what they needed. This sleepy little town had been through a nightmare, and now they were more awake than ever, working side by side just to take care of each other. And everywhere I went, I was met with hospitality, with graciousness, and with love. They showed me their homes, sometimes what was left of them. They introduced me to their families, and they shared with me the things that were precious to them. They told me their stories, and they always offered me whatever it was they had, whether it was a shady place to sit, or a bottle of water, or part of a meal they had just gotten from the food tent. A few days into this disaster recovery thing, these people had come to an unspoken and maybe even unconscious realization. There was nothing in my pack, or in anyone else's pack for that matter, that they needed. It was just stuff. And they lost so much stuff. And they were still standing. Eventually, I found myself on the bank of the creek in the shade of these big green trees, listening to a woman who had called this place home for 67 years. She had damage, but she hadn't lost everything. And she was haunted by the time she had spent with a mother whose 14-year-old daughter is still missing. I listened. I felt the gentle breeze blow around us. And I remembered the Greek and Hebrew words pneuma and ruach. They don't distinguish between spirit or wind or breath. And that's when I knew that this sermon wasn't the kind that gets written in an office. It was the kind that gets written sitting side by side with each other. Just then she said to me, "Honey, there are some things you can't put in a backpack. The breeze is one of those things. Presence is another. You can't stock up on faith or prayer or trust or caring. All you can do is share it. And maybe that's the point. Eli Wiesel said that hope is like peace. It's not a gift from God, it's a gift that we can only give to each other. Or maybe it is a gift from God, but it's one that we can only understand when it's shared. Which is why Jesus sent his disciples out in pairs, 2 by 2, because we are not meant to do this alone. And it's why he told them not to take anything with them, because none of that is necessary. It just props us up and helps us feel secure in our ability to provide for our own selves, which is a false sense of security. We aren't meant to provide for ourselves. We were meant to rely on each other, which makes us squirm. Dependence is a scary word in this country. It's a state of weakness that we tend to judge harshly, because Americans are people who believe in independence above all else. We can take care of ourselves, we say, and if we can't, then we should be able to. But I cannot for the life of me figure out where we got that idea from. Not from Scripture, surely. Not from the Savior, who time and time again reminds us that what we really need is each other. And not from our founding parents who built this nation. The same people who closed the Declaration of Independence by writing these words. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. On this July 4th weekend, we would do well to remember that those who came before us were declaring our nation's independence from England, not each individual person's independence from each other. They knew better than that. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. That sounds a lot like a commitment to carry each other's burdens. One day, I'm going to learn to put my backpack down. I'm going to learn that some stuff is necessary in life, but most stuff isn't. And that no stuff can replace life and community. One day I'm going to learn that living in community means not only giving help, but also receiving it. Jesus tells the disciples to go out and to take the love of God to these people. He also tells them to accept their hospitality along the way. Remain in the same house, he says, eating and drinking whatever they provide. That means that we have to let other people love us too, even when it means setting aside our pride to do so. It means that we have to be vulnerable in trust of God and trust of each other. It means that when someone who has no more help and only the clothes on their back offers you a bottle of ice-cold water from the bucket the volunteers just dropped off, you take it. And you say thank you. And you both understand that you can't help without being helped. And you can't be helped without helping. Glennon Doyle Melton says that it is showing up and saying, there you are, instead of here I am. Martin Luther King Jr. called it the inescapable network of mutuality. William Blake called it learning to bear the beams of love in this life. And Jesus called it knowing that our names are written in heaven. Bear one another's burdens, and in doing so, you will bring glory to Jesus Christ. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.